Hey everybody, hope you're enjoying your Sunday morning. I'm sure you've all heard the news by now, but former Florida State head coach Bobby Bowden passed away earlier this morning, 91 years old. You know, Bobby Bowden is a big reason, actually, of why I'm such a big college football fan. I know I've told parts of this story before on a couple of different live shows over the years, but I figured today would be a good time to pop on here real quick and honor Bobby Bowden in my own way by kind of telling the complete story. And for those of you who maybe haven't heard any of it, don't tune into the live shows. Um, Before I get to that story, though, um, most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the success Bobby Bowden had over his time at Florida State. But for some of the younger viewers, I figured I would run through just a list of some of his accomplishments. It would take way too long to list them all, but you know, as time goes on, we sometimes forget things that happened in the past, and you know, it's easy to remember maybe his two national titles or whatever, but there was so much more that Bobby Bowden did at Florida State and just what he meant to the game of college football. I figured I would, I mean, anybody could Google this list. This isn't the point of the video. I really just want to tell my Bobby Bowden story. But like I said, for the younger ones, you know, it's hard to remember sometimes. But 29 straight ACC wins at one point for Bobby Bowden at Florida State from 1992 to 1995. 29 straight conference wins, 38 straight ACC wins at home, 38 in a row. ACC wins at home from 1992 to 2001. Finished ranked 19 straight years from 1987 to 2005. 11 straight bowl wins at one point from 85 to 95. 9 straight ACC titles from 92 to 2000. A 54-game home unbeaten streak from 1992 to 2001. Now, it's an unbeaten streak, not a 54-game winning streak. Florida State did have that one tie. You know, back then they didn't have overtime. If the game was tied at the end of the game, it just ended as a tie. I believe that tie was against Florida, too, if I remember right, the Gators. But 54-game home unbeaten streak from 92 to 01. This is the one that is the most amazing to me, maybe, of them all. 14 straight top 5 finishes. That's unbelievable. You know, I know we do a lot of trash talking on this channel, and I get it. No one loves trash talk more than I do, and we tend to focus on national titles and nothing else matters. And he did win 2 national titles during this 14-year stretch, but to be top 5, 14 straight years, I don't know if that will ever happen again. You know, as good as Alabama has been over the last 12, 13 years, and they've been amazing, they've got a couple of years they didn't finish in the top 5. 14 straight years finishing in the top 5, that's unbelievable. Of course, he retired after the 2009 season. His last win was against West Virginia, too, which is kind of fitting. He came to Florida State from West Virginia. He was the head coach at West Virginia prior to arriving at Florida State. So he got the last win of his career at the end of the 2009 season in the Gator Bowl against West Virginia. 377 wins. Only Joe Paterno has more, and I don't even consider Joe Paterno at all when I think about college football anymore. I just pretend he never existed. I'm not getting into that in this video. 12 ACC titles, 2 national titles. The 2 national titles were in 93 and 99. 33 straight winning seasons. He was the head coach at Florida State for 34 years. He had a losing season his first year at Florida State. They went 5-6 in 1976, his first year at Florida State. But the 3 years before he got to Florida State, they had a total of 4 wins. So going 5-6 in his first year there was actually remarkable. And that was his only losing season. It's amazing. Two Heisman Trophy winners, one each in each of his national title years. You had Charlie Ward back in 1993, Chris Winkie back in 1999. Peter Warrick came close to winning the Heisman one year. I think he got suspended or something for a couple of games. He might have been the free shoes guy. I don't remember, but I mean, the list of great players that came out of Florida State when Bobby Bowden was there is a mile long. My personal favorite Florida State player, probably during the entire Bobby Bowden era, Derrick Brooks. Inside linebacker, middle linebacker, Derrick Brooks had a long NFL career, mostly with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had a quote one time. He was one of the hardest hitting college football players I've ever seen. Now, of course, the rules are different these days than what they were back then, but he was one of the most feared and hardest hitting college football players still to this day that I have ever seen. And I remember watching an interview with Derrick Brooks one time before a Florida State game was coming on. And they were asking him about some of the hits he had had. And they were showing him some clips of some of his hits. And they asked him, they said, have you ever had the perfect hit on somebody? And without hesitation, he said no. And the interviewer said, well, what has to happen then for it to be? If these aren't perfect hits that I'm showing you now, what has to happen for it to be a perfect hit? He said if it was a perfect hit, they would fumble the ball, we would fall on it, and the trauma helicopter would have to land at midfield to fly the guy out. I was like, my God, this guy is an animal. Again, these were different times in the world of college football and football in general. Clearly, no one today would say that. It would be looked at as, kind of inappropriate, but it was the kind of player he was. But anyway, just the list of amazing players that came out of FSU under Bobby Bowden is literally a mile long. But that's not the point. I wanted to talk about Bobby Bowden and the impact that he had on me as a college football fan. Like I said, I have mentioned and told parts of this story over the years on the live shows, but I kind of wanted to just get it all out at one time here, and I figured today would be a good day to do it. Again, rest in peace to Bobby Bowden, dead at 91 years of age. Pancreatic cancer is what finally got him. He beat prostate cancer a little over 10 years ago, if I remember right. And he had COVID last year, too, and beat that, but passed away this morning at 91. I was not raised in a college football household. My dad was more of an NFL fan, Falcons guy, and still really is to this day. He's more into college football now than he was when I was growing up, mainly because I taught college football for a living, so he's taken more interest in it. But the point is, when I was growing up on a weekend, Saturday was the day we would go and do whatever it was we were going to go do, because on Sunday, we would be watching the Falcons. So I didn't really grow up in a college football household. But my grandfather, on my mother's side, was a huge college football fan. Probably to this day, the biggest college football fan I've ever known. My granddaddy. I called him granddaddy. And I spent a lot of time with him when I was a kid. I loved my granddaddy. And I watched a ton of college football with my granddaddy over the years. And he never really had a favorite team. He was from Alabama, so he was a big Alabama fan. This would have been like late 80s through mid to late 90s that I was spending a lot of time over there watching college football with him. Alabama wasn't a great team. They were great in 92 when they won the national title, but they weren't like they are now, winning all the time. But he was an Alabama fan, but he even liked Auburn a little. He definitely didn't hate Auburn. Even though he was from Alabama, and the whole you have to choose one thing. Anyway, the point is, he was just more of a general college football fan. And he was a huge Bobby Bowden fan. He was never a Florida State fan, but he was a huge Bobby Bowden fan. He thought Bobby Bowden walked on water. I don't really know what it was, but he was just absolutely infatuated with Bobby Bowden. He thought Bobby Bowden could do no wrong. And so we watched a lot of Florida State games over at his house when I was growing up. I saw all the classic Florida State versus Miami games from that time period. All the missed field goals, all those amazing games when Miami and Florida State were both ranked in the top 5 for what seemed like every single year. I watched Charlie Ward and Peter Warwick and eventually Chris Winkie and Derek Brooks, and I mean just all those guys that came through there. And my granddaddy was just a huge, huge, huge Bobby Bowden fan. We used to get in the car on Friday mornings and drive down and stay in the hotel that Florida State was staying in on Friday night. Bobby Bowden would take the team on home games to a hotel and stay the night at the hotel to kind of get them away from campus and the distractions and all that. And my granddaddy would pile us up in the car and drive us down there, and we'd check into the same hotel, and we'd just sit in the lobby all day waiting on Bobby Bowden to walk through. And, my granddaddy talked to him a couple of times. I was too little or too young really to, I think, understand how cool it was to do that. Like now I'm 43. I'd love to be in the lobby of a hotel and see Kirby Smart walk through, you know what I mean? But at the time I didn't really appreciate it at the time. But anyway, that just goes to show you how big of a bot, he was a Bobby Bowden fan. So, he sort of had to pull for Florida State a lot of the times, but like I said, I wouldn't classify him as a Florida State fan. He was a Bobby Bowden fan, but anyway, that's really where my love of college football started at a young age. Spending time with my granddaddy on a Saturday, sitting at he would sit at the kitchen table and watch college football. He had a kitchen that opened up into the living room where the TV was, and he would sit at one chair at the kitchen table, and I would sit at the other, and we'd watch college football all day. And we always watched the Florida State game. It didn't matter what other game was on. If Florida State was on, that was the game we watched. And, if it wouldn't have been for that, I don't know, I don't know that I would have developed into the college football fan that I eventually developed into. And who knows where or what I'd be doing right now. So I've always given my granddaddy a lot of the credit for me becoming such a big college football fan. And that's definitely true and still the case. But Bobby Bowden was a big part of that. My granddaddy used to say, it's God, Jesus, Bobby Bowden. I mean, it looking back on it now, it almost borders on like an unhealthy obsession he might have had with Bobby Bowden, but he just thought Bobby Bowden was the greatest thing. From his interviews to the one-liners to the little kind of colloquialisms he would use all the time. He said "Dad gum." My granddaddy used to crack up every single time he said "Dad gummit." There are, I'm sure, bigger Florida State fans than my granddaddy. There was never a bigger Bobby Bowden fan than my granddaddy, ever. And, without that, who knows? Who knows? I remember when I married Mrs. Lou in 2005. She graduated from Florida State. Or hell, even before we got married. The first time he met her, or when I even told him about her, the first thing I told him was, hey, Granddaddy, guess what? She went to Florida State. And that's all he needed to know. Oh, well, she's good with me then. That's what he said. She's good with me. And he used to ask her questions, because she was there in the late 90s when Florida State was at its peak under Bobby Bowden. She was there in 99 when they won the national title. She was Chris Winkie and all those guys, Warwick Dunn. So Granddaddy used to just sit and ask her all kinds of questions. Well, did you ever see this person? Did you ever see that person? Did you ever see Bobby Bowden? What was he like? Blah, 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 blah. Mrs. Lou didn't give two hoots or holler about college football, but Granddaddy didn't care. So, anyway, there's not very many people that are sort of bigger than the game of college football, right? But at least to me, Bobby Bowden is one of those people. And it's not even necessarily because of all these stats I read off to you in the beginning of the video. To me, it's not because he won the 2 national titles or because he finished ranked in the top 5 14 years in a row, or 11 straight bowl wins, or 9 straight ACC titles. To me, none of those are the reasons, to me, that Bobby Bowden is as great as he is. It's the impact that he had on me as a college football fan through my granddaddy. And, I'll always remember that. And so to all the Florida State fans, this is a tough loss. I mean, and honestly, I don't feel like this is a loss just for Florida State or just for Florida State fans. I feel like this is a loss for college football. I don't want to get into a debate now on this video. I don't feel like it's the appropriate time about trying to list the top 5 or top 10 college coaches of all time or whatever. But Bobby Bowden is up there. He's very high up on the list. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Rest in peace, Bobby Bowden. And thank you for the impact you had on me and the college football fan that I have become. All right, you guys take it easy.